Great. So find a comfortable seat. That could be cross-legged, that could be kneeling. Find some length in your spine. And just while we're kind of opening practice today, we'll be exploring some postures where it will be useful to have something that can act like a strap. So if you have a belt or a strap or something like that, then that's great. But I'll give an option if you don't have that available to use as well. And then like a block or a cushion. Could use like a pillow from the couch or um, anything kind of block shaped nearby. Again, those are optional, but if you have something like that, then great, have it close by. And then just settling back into your seat if you've left it. Find a lift up through the crown of your head. Let your shoulders start to rest and drop down the back. And if it's comfortable for you, let your eyes begin to close. And we'll just take a couple moments to connect with the breath. So noticing how your natural breath appears here today. Noticing its pace. The texture of the breath, if it feels more smooth or perhaps raspy. And notice where in your body you receive your breath. Perhaps you notice it mostly just in the nostrils. Perhaps you notice a rise and fall of the belly or movement in the chest. Even movement in the back body, the back of the heart, the low back. And beginning to call in a deeper breath in both nostrils and out both nostrils. And the breath is such a powerful bridge between body and mind. And by really consciously channeling the breath, there's also so much that gets to shift in our mental, emotional, even spiritual states of being. And so this will be really the foundation we'll come back to again and again through practice this morning is breath. And perhaps even checking in with the length of inhale to exhale and allowing the breath to be about equal length inhale to exhale. And staying connected with your breath, perhaps even staying with your eyes closed, will layer on some movement. So as you inhale, your next inhaling breath, let your arms circle around and start to float up overhead. And they get to go nice and slow. And as you exhale, turn and press the palms out and away as though you could literally push the walls in your space to become wider apart from one another. And inhale, lift as though you're gathering, going up. Maybe pause for a moment at the top and exhale, press the arms away. And you get to do this at your own pace. But what can be really nice is to go at about 20% slower than you might habitually. So there's two foundations for our practice this morning already. One is the breath, and then this next piece is allowing your movements to go just a little slower than your habitual. The next time your arms are overhead, just pause for a moment, wiggle your fingers, maybe take a look up toward the ceiling, lift your heart, and then exhale, bring the right hand behind you, left arm crosses over for a twist. Bring the left hand all the way to the right thigh or knee and look over your right shoulder. As you inhale, release out of it just about 50%, leaving the arms where they are. And as you exhale, deepen in. Feel the core squeeze like a sponge being wrung out. Inhale, release just slightly out. Exhale, deepen in. And it's pretty common in these twists to really want to use a lot of your arms to help you twist, and that can be fine, but see what it's like to twist from your belly and your back rather than from your arms. Just one more time like that, releasing out halfway and going deeper in. Inhale, both arms reach up. And exhale, second side. So twisting the opposite way. Right hand to left knee or thigh, left hand behind you. Coming into your full twist, and as you inhale, you'll just release partially out. You can leave the hands right where they are. Exhale to deepen in. You can notice on those moments of exhaling and deepening if that can come more from your core, so from your belly, your abdomen, than from your arms really pulling you into the twist. And it's when we do that that we start getting all of the really great detoxification action that twists offer. And with your next inhale, reach both arms up overhead. Exhale, draw the palms through heart center. Just take a moment and tap the hands on your sternum. You can close your eyes when you do this. We'll be here for about a minute or so, so finding some sort of rhythm and just allowing yourself to receive this tapping. You can tap a little over to the left and over to the right, just staying on the chest and the sternum. Waking up the thalamus and the heart space, which is such a powerful center of compassion and gratitude and heart connected living. And take a deep breath in and exhale, release the hands, release the arms all the way down. Just take a moment in silence just to feel, to integrate. Noticing whatever arises. And then from here, we'll come onto all fours, so into a tabletop. Just taking your time to get there. Let your hands plant underneath your shoulders, the fingers spread nice and wide. Knees plant underneath the hips, tops of the feet on the ground. And allow the hips to go out in big circles over the knees. Staying with your smooth, long breath. And staying with that movement speed that's about 20% slower than you habitually might want to move. We're in that 20% slower space. We're helping to deconstruct habitual patterns in the nervous system and the muscles. It also helps to just anchor consciousness and awareness more and more into the body in the present moment, which is really what yoga is all about. We're going to take those circles the opposite way. And slowly find your way into center and stillness. Find your breath again. Equal counts inhales and exhales. So you might actually count your breath. Perhaps your inhales are 4 counts and then your exhales would be 4 counts also. It might be 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever feels natural, but also slightly elongated for you. And on your next exhale, just taking that full length of breath to bring the hips back toward the heels for a child's pose. And when your inhale comes, slowly making your way back to tabletop. Take the full length of breath to travel. You might even pause and hold your breath for a moment or two at the top or the bottom. It's called a kumbhak. So those retention spaces between the breath, which the yogis say is how we get to actually pause time and become timeless in those spaces of holding breath. And you can either stay with this, and we're staying with it because it's really helpful for our breath and bodies and nervous systems to establish a rhythm, and it takes time to find rhythm. So you can stay with this, or you can add in a layer. Every other time, instead of child's pose, you'll come into a down dog. So tucking the toes, lift the knees and the hips. And again, you just inhale back to table nice and slow. Maybe a pause at the top or the bottom of the breath. And then back to child's. Every inhale takes you to tabletop. And every exhale either takes you to child's pose or down dog, or you can alternate in between. Really allowing your breath to slow down and your breath to guide this movement more so than anything else. And the next time you come into your tabletop, just pause for a moment. Give yourself a little break, just resting in table. And tuck your toes under. Start to walk your Hands back toward your knees and sit your hips down onto your heels, stretching into the soles of the feet for toes pose. You can stay right here with the hands on the ground, especially first thing in the morning. This might be plenty for your feet. Your feet can get really tight during our sleep time. If you're wanting more, you can walk the hands toward your knees and sit all the way up in a kneeling posture, really opening up the fascia on the bottoms of the feet. Seeing if you can stay with your smooth, long breath, even and especially when we get to some postures that feel challenging for you or like it brings up a lot of sensation. And starting to come forward again, you can release the feet, give them a little circle out or a tap on your yoga mat. Then we'll tuck them again, walk the hands back, and this time let your knees actually lift up off the ground so that you can come into a squat. Your feet can be a little wider than your hips, toes turn out about 45 degrees, palms connect in Anjali Mudra, which is left palm to right in front of the heart. Close your eyes or drop your gaze down toward the floor. Deepen your breath all the way into the low belly. Nice long spine. If needed in this posture, and if you have it, you can bring a block underneath your sitting bones. Right arm connects and presses into the right inner knee. Left arm inhales up and open. Maybe even looking all the way up toward the ceiling or the sky, whatever is above you. Taking a couple of breaths here, you could even slowly circle the top wrist in both directions. And inhale takes you back through center. And exhale over to the opposite side. No need to rush. Again, you can circle your wrist here if you would like to. Being sure to go a couple times in both directions with that. Inhale back through center, and we're just going to let the breath carry you left and then right. So here we'll inhale over to the left, opening up, and exhale to come back through center in your squat, and inhale, turning to the right, back and forth, side to side. Again, about 20% slower than you might habitually want to go. Next, exhale back through center. Take a moment. Bring your fingertips onto the ground and just going to adjust the squat stance so that the feet come in closer together so the heels actually touch and the knees are going to turn wide. So this is more of like a tippy toe pose. The feet touch, knees wide. This Works for some people, for others, it's a little uncomfortable. So if that's you, you can come up and kind of do heels together in a bit of like a plie from a higher position. And otherwise, we'll stay down low. And if you'd like to play around with balance, you can rest your wrists on top of your knees. If you're wanting some balance support, hands can come to the ground, or you can find blocks in front of you, even come next to a wall. And we'll just take a couple moments here, feeling all the like micro wiggles and wobbles that happen as you hold this position. And then we'll just really, really slowly begin to straighten the legs to elevate into standing on tippy toes. And just notice how slowly you can go. It will be a bit of a workout for the legs. So they might feel a little bit tired this morning, but just seeing if you can really enjoy that journey from lower to up on tippy toes, heels touch, squeeze the glutes, take a moment, and then exhale. Turn the feet forward, lower the heels down. Okay. And from here, just begin to shift your weight left to right, left to right. Your eyes can be open or closed. If they are open, I recommend gazing down toward the floor. And notice what it's like to slow this movement down just a little to reconnect to the slowness and smoothness of the breath. And you can stay like this with just a sway, or as you sway to the right, you might want to play around with lifting the left knee and vice versa. Almost like a bit of a march in place, but going nice and slowly. As you lift the left knee, option to bring right elbow toward it. It'll be an inhale to switch sides and an exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale to switch sides, exhale, elbow to knee. Find a little piece that you're welcome to play around with here if desired is what's it like to hold? And just let yourself play around a bit with balance. Elbow to knee. You can keep the gaze forward or down toward the floor. You can even look back behind you. Just for a couple more moments. And if you are playing with that variation, try it also on the other side. And then releasing, letting that go. Just find your standing posture. Take a breath. Maybe letting the exhale out the mouth this time. And just going to start a process for the next 2 minutes or so called shaking the bones. And it's just what it sounds like. You're just going to kind of let your body shake. So this is really great first thing in the morning to just get the lymphatic system and your blood circulating, the muscles moving. You can do it with your eyes closed. The most important piece is just that you're finding some sort of rhythm that feels good for you. There are many ways that you can explore this movement. You can bring it more into like your wrists or shake out one leg and then the other. You can just find a bit of a bounce. And we'll be here for about 2 minutes. So just letting the body shake. There might be a certain place in your body that wants this more than others today. Like, notice what it's like to bring it more into your shoulders or into your hips, into your arms or your legs. Just play around with finding where this feels good for you this morning. Just about 30 more seconds. So this is your time to really get any energy out that you'd like to. Nice. And then slowing that down and back into stillness eventually. Deep breath in, full breath out. Feet are about hip distance apart, a little softness in the knees. And you'll take your hands and loop your thumbs together with the palms facing forwards. Come a little closer so you can see this. Looks like that. And the fingers are going to really lead the way for this, and the spine is going to follow the motion of the fingers. So turn to my side to face the short end of the mat. The fingers are going to start to curl forward and down like they're diving toward the bottom of the ocean. Bend your knees, let the spine follow the fingers as far down as is comfortable. They might reach the floor, they might not. And then the fingers are going to curve up, lifting up toward the sky, maybe taking you a bit into a back bend. And exhale, curl the fingers and the arms down, chin to chest. Bend the knees, roll forward. And inhale, floating back up, leading with the tips of your fingers. Equal lengths, inhales and exhales. And that becomes this kind of like dolphin dive movement with the whole spine guided by just the fingertips. You can even keep your eyes focused on your fingertips this whole movement. Notice the rounding and the arcing of the spine that naturally happens. One more time. And when you lift up, pause, and then reverse direction. So you'll lead with your wrists forward and up. Doing just the same movement, but now you start with more of a dive forward and a curl up. And you're still going with an inhale up and exhale, taking you down. Nice deep bend in the knees. And just one more time. Exhale, release the arms. Take a moment, pause and feel. Notice how that practice kind of lands and the imprint it leaves in your body. And then bring the heels together, toes out wide, like about 45 degrees between the feet, or 45 to 90 degrees between the feet. And then lift back up onto the tippy toes. You might walk the feet in a little bit closer together. We're going to come right back down into that toes squat. So as you exhale, beginning to bend the knees, maybe palms want to come together in front of the heart for stabilization. And just lowering down. Back to that balanced posture. In a moment there. And then sit all the way down. Extend your legs out in front of you. You're welcome to bring a cushion or pillow underneath your pelvis, especially if you have a tight low back or tight hamstrings. Flex your toes up toward the ceiling. We'll find that same position with the hands, so linking the thumbs together just as we did in our standing forward fold. Inhale, reach the arms up, and exhale, let the fingers curl down. Kind of glide along the legs, and inhale, rise you back up. Exhale, fingers curl. Inhale, the fingers guide the spine back upright. Just a couple more like that. And the next time you exhale, you can let yourself just rest in your forward fold. Release the hands. Activate your quadriceps. Reach the toes up toward the ceiling and let your head and neck completely relax. Deep, smooth breaths. Even as we get into more of this static hold, can your breath remain dynamic? Can you stay in contact with breath and breathing? Allowing your whole body to be a part of your breath. Your whole body to breathe. Notice where in your body you can yield and soften a bit more into this shape. And on your inhale, we'll slowly rise out of that posture. Take a moment when you're out of it just to feel the impact, the imprint. Bring the hands behind you. Fingers can either face toward the pelvis or away from it, whatever is most comfortable for your wrists. Bring the feet planted onto the ground, and we'll inhale up into a reverse tabletop. So as you inhale, hips lift up. Chin can either stay at the chest, or you can let the neck kind of fully release back if that's comfortable for your neck. Exhale to lower down. And inhale to rise up. Exhale to lower. When you lower, you're even able to kind of, if you'd like to, curl forward and round all the way forward over the legs. And as you inhale, you just come right back to that reverse table. Equal length inhale and exhale. Really pace this movement with your breath. Just one more time. And then lower all the way onto the floor. And if you have your strap and block or cushion, just have that nearby so that it's within arm's reach. Take a couple of breaths when you make it to the floor. Reach your fingertips toward your heels. Bend the knees, soles of the feet plant near the hips. Your fingertips might even be able to kind of graze and reach toward and touch the heels. As you inhale, press through the feet, lift the pelvis up off the ground for a bridge. Arc the arms up and overhead. As you exhale, everything lowers back to the starting place. Hips and arms lower back down. Pace the movement with your breath. Inhale, arms and hips raise. Maybe a pause at the top of the breath. And exhale, arms and hips lower back down, perhaps making it to the earth at the same time, the very bottom of the breath, for a little pause at the bottom of the exhale. And repeat, inhaling to lift up, exhaling to release down. And you can either stay with this a couple more times, or just let yourself lift up, and the next time you lift, pause and hold in your bridge. Rooting down through the heels. Imagine as though there was a block between your thighs that you could squeeze. Lengthen the back body. And if you have it, from here we'll slide the block or cushion underneath the pelvis for more of a passive bridge. And if not, you can just leave the pelvis on the ground and slide the heels out long. Maybe the arms stay lifted up overhead for a full body stretch. If that feels like too much, the arms can come back down and your knees can stay bent too, especially if that strains your low back at all. Breathe nice and deeply, especially into the lower lobes of the lungs and the belly. Another minute or so here, you're welcome to stay in the shape that you're at, or you can bring the legs into a waterfall. Soles of the feet point up toward the ceiling. With a supported shoulder stand, little inversion action. Whatever shape your body lands in, come back to the breath. Equal lengths, inhales and exhales. Little pauses at the top and the bottom. Long, smooth breathing. Wherever your legs are, begin to bring them back into that bridge position. If you're on a cushion or a block, begin to lift up. Slide that out away and lower the pelvis back down nice and slowly. One vertebrae at a time. And take a breath. Inhale, breathe into your belly. Press the tip of your tailbone down into the ground to arc the low back. Exhale, release breath, draw the navel to the spine, press the low back to the ground. Inhale, deep belly breath. Press the tailbone, arc the low back. Exhale, slow release, pressing the low back all the way to the ground. And here with this movement, where we're really tilting the pelvis forward and back and working with the abdominal and the low back muscles. Important to go from posture A, which is this deep belly breath pressing the tailbone, to posture B, which is pressing the low back to the ground, navel to spine, really slowly in between. Just letting the transitions between that arc and flatten be super slow. And notice just the subtle micro movements in the head that happen in between these postures. There'll be a bit of a lifting of the chin as the back flattens, and a tucking as the back arches. So just letting that happen, letting this be a full spinal movement. And then let that go. Just take a moment in center. And bring your right hand behind your head. Do a bit of a psoas lengthener, psoas release next. And the psoas is said to be the muscle of the soul, so it can tend to hold on to a lot of emotion. It also is really connected with our fight, flight, freeze response, and is the only muscle of the body that completely connects our lower extremities to the spine. It's a really powerful muscle. It really contributes to hip health, low back health, even like digestive and reproductive health is impacted by this muscle. So we'll do a bit of a release for it. And there's going to be 3 different levels of it, kind of building upon what we just did. And depending on, how this muscle is doing for you, you might just stay in the first variation. You might go to the second, to the third. What's most going to discern that is how easy it is to keep your back flat on the floor. That's the most important thing for this. So we'll just start with an inhale and arc the back away, just as we've been doing, inhaling into the belly. And then exhale, flatten the back, navel to spine. Keep the back flat. Lift the head and the arm up. The elbow is going to kind of curve in, head lifts, and then just lift your right leg up off the floor. It doesn't have to be high. Just a couple inches. Really check in, make sure the back can remain flat and connected to the floor. And really slowly, we're going to release to the count of about 12. And you finally release back down. Let all the muscles soften and go. Take a moment. So if that was fairly easy for you to keep your low back on the floor, you can go ahead and try the second variation, which is just going to be sliding the right leg about halfway to straight. So not all the way straight, not all the way bent, somewhere in between. Inhale, arc the back, press the tailbone to the ground. Exhale, flatten the back. Keep the back flattened. Lift the elbow and the head up. And then lift the leg. Okay, it doesn't have to be super high, but most important thing is that the back can be connected to the floor. So if you're noticing that the back is coming off, bend the knee in closer to you. And again, to the count of 12, we're going to lower all the way back down nice and slowly. And fully release. If that felt relatively easeful for your low back, you can move on to the next variation, otherwise staying right here. So the leg's going to come all the way straight now. Inhale, arc the back. Exhale, press the back to the floor. Lift the arm and head, lift the leg. Keep pressing the back down. Turn your right toes outward slightly. Notice if you can sense and feel any activation on the front of your hip, in the inner thigh, and 12 count lower. And fully relax and release. Remove the arm from behind your head, bend both knees, just take a moment, notice and feel any differences between the left and the right sides of the body. And then we'll do this psoas release on the second side. So left hand behind the head. Inhale, arc the back, press the tailbone to the floor. And just start in that first variation for all of us. Exhale, back presses to the floor. Lift the head, lift the leg, pause, really feel the muscles squeeze and activate here. A nice slow 12 count lower. A full release. Take a breath. Stay here and move into the second variation, which is bringing that leg halfway to straight. Inhale, press the tailbone down. Exhale, flatten the back. Lift the head, the arm, the leg. Slow lower, 12 counts. A little breath in between. Our final version, if you'd like to, if it feels good for your back, leg will come all the way straight. Inhale, press the tailbone, fill the belly. Exhale, flatten and lift. Turn the toes out slightly. The leg doesn't have to lift up super high, but to the point where you can feel the muscles working, especially in the hip flexor. And then slow 12 count lower. And fully release. Release the arm. Bring both knees either to bend or to straight and just take a moment to feel into the imprint of that practice in your body. Notice any natural changes to breath and breathing. And then one final movement before we take it into Shavasana. If you have a strap, go ahead and find that. If not, we'll do a variation without it. But those of you with a strap, you'll take it, wrap it around the sole of your right foot, and then just straighten that leg. So if you don't have a strap, you can take hold of behind the hamstring or the thigh, or just let the leg kind of float. We won't be here too long, but just bringing back in some of our hamstring work that we did earlier. Notice if the hamstrings are feeling any different from earlier. So we did a couple different forward folds from standing to seated. And now we're here again in relationship with this similar shape, but now from the back body. Flex the foot, deepen the breath. And the goal here isn't necessarily to draw the leg in as close as you can to your face. It's just to allow the knee to be comfortably straight, the foot to be flexed, and to have some form of sensation and lengthening happening along the back of the leg. And you could even imagine that someone's by your heel or your calf, pushing it forward, just resist into that pressure, like you're trying to push the leg away from you, pushing into the strap. And that can actually help the hamstrings lengthen even more. Soften the jaw. And one more breath here. And then release this leg. Take a moment in between, a breath in between. And we'll slowly go into the second side. So sole of the left foot, your right leg can either stay bent or it can straighten out. Flex the foot. This side might feel a little different than the other side. Allow the knee to come to somewhat straight, doesn't need to be 100% straight. And then, since as though you could push the leg away from you, if you're using a strap, you can use the strap to actually help push, to activate the quadriceps, which helps to release the hamstrings. Smooth breathing, even through intensity. And then release the leg, release the strap. Take a moment just to find a breath in between. And then from here, we'll draw the knees all the way into the chest, wrap the arms around the legs, lift the head, squeeze the toes, the fingers, the face, the armpits, everything squeezes in. Deep breath in. And as you exhale, release into Shavasana, and you're welcome to find whatever you'd like to get comfy here. Socks, eye pillow, something for under the knees. Shavasana can be taken on the back body. If that's not comfortable, you can bend the knees. You can rest on your side. You could even rest on your belly. Allow the eyes to close. Take a few more cycles of that deep, elongated breath, just allowing yourself to comb through the entire body and the nervous system, releasing any residual knots of holding or tension with your breath. And allow your breath to just be completely soft, easeful, like how you'd breathe when you're deep asleep or in a state of deep meditation where the breath gets so light and so soft it almost disappears completely. Allow your body to soften. All the muscles relax like butter melting in the sun. Muscles around the feet, up the legs, muscles and organs in the pelvis, the abdomen, back, and chest and shoulders. Arms and hands, the throat and the neck, even the muscles in the face and around the skull, the organ of the brain. It all softens and melts, inviting warmth into the hands and feet. fullness in the forehead, relaxed, quiet breath. And taking a deep breath in and let it come out the mouth. Just starting to wiggle and stir back to wakefulness and roll over onto one side of your body and just rest on your side body for a few moments. As you rest on your side, bringing to mind one thing about yourself that you're grateful for, be it about your body, your personality, or just who you are. Something that you're grateful for about yourself. You allow the warmth and vibrancy of gratitude to fill your whole being. You slowly press up into a seat, palms connect in front of the heart. And here bringing to mind one thing about another person that you're grateful for, or just another person in general. And then allowing the warmth and vibrancy of gratitude to fill you up. And finally, feeling into one thing just from life in general, being alive in this world that we live in, that you feel grateful for. Allowing gratitude to completely fill your being. And in gratitude of one another in our practice this morning, we bow. Namaste. Thanks, everyone.